It's no secret that helium earnings have been decreasing in recent months, and this is largely because of saturation. As more people in your area start buying helium miners and mining HNT, it can reach a point where it becomes too saturated. And in the Helium Explorer page, you can actually see this by going to the map and in the bottom right, clicking on the earnings toggle. This will show you how much roughly people are earning with helium. And you can see the red parts of the map are the places where people are earning the least amount of helium. And the blue area in the maps are where people are earning more amounts of helium. So as you can clearly see, the more saturated areas are those that are earning less HNT. Now, if you look at the bottom right of the map, you can also see the 7-day average of helium or HNT earnings each day. And you can see that the average is 0.14. So this means that the average helium user is earning 0.14 HNT. So if we take 0.14 HNT and multiply that by the average price of HNT right now, which is about $30, you can see that this means the average helium hotspot miner is only earning about $4.20 each day. And if we now actually compare this to what the M2 Pro Miner earns in MXC, the M2 Pro Miner is actually earning more than 3 times this amount, with the potential for earnings to double and go even higher in the future. Now, obviously, just keep in mind that these helium average earnings are just their average earnings, and there's a very high possibility that a lot of people are either not in a good location because it's very saturated, or they haven't properly optimized their setup so that they can earn more HNT. However, if you have tried to do everything to increase your HNT daily earnings and whatever you've tried just hasn't been enough to increase your earnings, then MXC could potentially be a good alternative. So in this video, I'm going to go through number 1, how MXC earnings have recently doubled. Number 2, what are the advantages of investing in MXC? And number 3, what are the risks with investing in MXC? In other words, this will kind of be like a review of MXC to help you make your own decision as to whether or not it's worth it. Obviously though, like all things in life, be sure to do your own research on top of what you see in this video. And remember, I am not a financial advisor, so nothing in this video should be viewed as financial advice. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's go through why investing in MXC could be a good idea. And be sure to watch until the end of this video because I'm also going to go through why it could not be a good idea to invest in this project. So I really want you to see both sides of this, the good and the bad, and then come to your own conclusion. So let's get started with what are some good potential reasons to invest in this project. Well, the main reason I personally invested in MXC late last year was because helium didn't really have any major competitors. So I thought to myself, even though I don't think MXC will beat helium, I thought even if it can still get a small percentage of the markets that helium already has, there could be a lot of potential for growth in this project. So just to compare the growth potential with MXC compared to helium, if we go to marketcapof.com and we type in MXC, and if we were to compare what would happen if it reached the market cap of helium, let's see how much the MXC token would grow. So we can see if it reached the market cap of helium, and helium right now is actually down quite a bit. It's only $29 per HNT. But we can see if it reached the market cap of helium, the MXC token, which right now is only worth 11 cents, it would be worth over $1, which is a 10x return on your investment. So I personally don't think it's going to reach the same market cap as helium. If anything, I would say it will probably reach half of the market cap of helium, or maybe even a little bit less than that. But even then, that's around a 2 to 5x return in terms of what I expect and what I guess is going to happen with the MXC token in the future if, and this is a big if this project is successful. Obviously, if it's not successful, then it could be worth nothing. So you have to keep that in mind with any crypto project. But if it can reach just a small percentage of the market cap of helium, then I do think there's still a lot of room for growth in the MXC token, which is one reason why I decided to buy the M2 Pro Miner so that I could start mining MXC. And speaking of the M2 Pro Miner, another good thing about this project is that there is very little waiting time if you order an M2 Pro Miner. So when I ordered mine late last year, I only had to wait about 2 weeks before it arrived. And 2 weeks might sound like a long time for some of you, but if you've been involved in any other sort of crypto project similar to this, you'll know that typically you need to wait months before you get your miner. So what this means is that you can start mining MXC straight away, or at least relatively quickly compared to other alternatives. The next good thing about MXC is that once the device arrives, it's really easy to set up. Literally, all I had to do was plug it in, connect it to the app, and it was pretty much up and running the same day. And if I compare this to when I was setting up Helium, Helium took about 2 weeks for it to finish syncing and for everything to get set up properly. And I also had to do a lot of other things on the back end to make sure that everything was connected in the right way. I also had to invest in an additional antenna to increase my earnings a little bit more with Helium. So there were a lot more extra things that I had to do to generate more of an income with Helium. Whereas with MXC, you literally just plug it in and it starts mining MXC tokens straight away. So it's very easy to use and very easy to set up. And so far, I've never had any problems. The MXC miner that I've had has never even been down at all. It's always been mining every single day. And when I compare this to my Helium miner, which by the way, I have the Bobcat Miner 300, when I have been mining Helium, Helium has been down a fair amount of time. Sometimes it can just stop working for a day or two as they are releasing updates. At one point, the whole network went down for about a week. So in my experience, there have been a lot more problems with mining Helium compared to MXC. Now, one thing to keep in mind though, is that a lot of these problems that happen with Helium is because it's growing so much. And a lot of these problems, I think, were just growing pains. So these kinds of problems could also happen to MXC potentially if MXC starts growing to the level that Helium grows. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there that it might be an option of something that could happen. But as of right now, my experience with MXC has been that it has been working perfectly fine without any problems. And my experience with Helium has been that for the majority of the time, it's been working fine without any problems, but it has experienced its fair share of downtime. Another good thing about MXC is as of recording this video right now, you get guaranteed earnings between $10 to $15 a day. Now, in my experience, it's probably been closer to around $10 a day. And I don't really know anyone that has been getting $15 a day, but still they do give you guaranteed earnings of $10 to $15 a day in the MXC token. So this means if the MXC token one day is quite low, you'll get more MXC tokens until you reach, let's say, $10 that day. Or if the price of the MXC token is quite high, you'll receive less MXC tokens, but at the end of the day, you'll still receive between $10 to $15 a day. So unlike Helium, where your earnings largely depend on where you are located, how many other miners there are in your area, how good your setup is, all of that stuff, as of recording this video right now, with MXC doesn't matter. You just get $10 to $15 every single day. And that just makes everything really easy. And especially if maybe you're in an area where Helium is really saturated right now and your earnings are not really high, MXC could potentially be a good alternative because you do get those guaranteed earnings of 10 to 15 US dollars a day. Now, another good thing about MXC is the token price. So one reason I decided to get involved in this project was because I could see that the general trend of the MXC token seems to be moving upwards. And yes, there are definitely some highs and then some lows, then highs and then lows. But overall, you can see that it's generally been going upwards. So I started getting involved in the project when the price of an MXC token was about 4 to 5 cents. So my prediction was that the MXC token would double in price from 5 cents to 10 cents because there is still a relatively small market cap compared to Helium and other coins that are out there. And then instead of earning $10 to $15 a day, which is, let's just say it's about $300 a month on the low end, instead of earning $300 a month, if the price of the MXC token goes higher in a year or even 2 years, then those earnings will also go higher. So if the MXC token goes from 5 cents to 10 cents, instead of getting $300 a month, I'll be getting $600 a month. And if it goes even higher than that, then again, the earnings will be even higher. And recently, that's actually what has happened. In fact, in the last 7 days, again, as of recording this video, the price has gradually been going higher. In fact, let's do the last month. You can see that the price has gradually been going higher. So at the beginning of this month, we were around 4 cents, up to about 5 cents. Then we bumped up to around 7 cents one day. Then it went back down again. And again, as of recording this video, it looks like now we've actually gone over 10 cents. Then it's gone back down again. So right now we're on 11 cents. So there's been a pretty big spike recently in the MXC price. I think this is obviously going to go back down again But most likely, if we look at this over the long term, my guess, again, this is just a guess. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. No one knows what will happen in the future. But my guess is that the price will continue to go higher in the long term. And if you can hold onto your MXC tokens for, I'd say, a year or maybe even 2 years, and the price of the MXC token is higher at the point that you finally decide to sell your MXC tokens, that's how I believe you'd be able to make the most amount of income with this project. Now, as good as this all might sound so far, there are some very real risks and some very real big cons to this project. So let me go through what are some reasons why you might not decide to invest in this project. So one of the first reasons why I think you need to be careful about investing in this project is because they have a rule where if you withdraw your MXC tokens, it's going to reduce your earnings in the future. Now, I'm not going to go into the actual detail of how this works, but the short version is you have a fuel tank, and if you withdraw your earnings, your fuel tank decreases. And what that basically means is the lower your fuel tank is, the less earnings you will get. So in other words, when you finally withdraw your MXC tokens, you're going to start earning less MXC tokens in the future. So this is probably the biggest complaint with this project. This is probably the thing that people dislike the most. MXC's argument for doing this is that this helps with the MXC token price. And in a way, this is actually true because the reality of the situation is that this MXC token does have a very small market cap, which means that if everyone is constantly withdrawing their MXC tokens every single month, the price of the MXC token isn't going to go higher. So this is kind of a way MXC has tried to get people to hold onto their MXC tokens for the long term, because everyone knows once you do finally sell your MXC tokens, you're going to be earning less MXC tokens in the future. So this is kind of like a double-edged sword. On the one hand, I can see why this is annoying and frustrating, and it would be good to be able to sell your MXC tokens whenever you like. But on the other hand, if you're going to be holding this for the long term, and this actually helps the price of the MXC token increase in price, which is actually what we have been seeing happening. If you think about this project as a long-term thing where you're going to hold on to your tokens for 1, 2, or maybe even 3 years, assuming the price of the MXC token does actually go higher, then you could actually earn quite a bit more money with this method. So I can see both sides of the story. However, overall, my personal opinion is that I still think it would be better to be able to withdraw your tokens whenever you like. And I think instead of punishing someone for withdrawing their tokens by lowering their earnings, I think they should instead reward those that decide to hold their tokens. So I don't think your earnings should decrease, but I do think there could be some extra incentives for you to hold your tokens instead of selling them. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Another big downside of this project is the price of the M2 Pro Miner. To buy the M2 Pro Miner, it costs just under $3,000 US. Now, the reason I still bought it was because in a worst case scenario, because you get those 10 to 15 US dollar a day guaranteed earnings, in a worst case scenario, I earn 10 US dollars a day. So in a year, I've paid for the device and I'm making profit. And in a best case scenario, the price of the MXC token goes higher, which is actually what has happened recently, which is great. But in a best case scenario, if the price of the MXC token goes higher, let's just say it doubles in price, then in 6 months, I can then break even and start making profit. So it is still profitable. You can still make a return on your investment within 12 months, assuming, everything stays the way that it is right now. And that is actually better than some other Bitcoin miners that are more expensive than 3,000 US dollars. And sometimes they can even take longer than a year for you to break even and start making profit. So when you compare it to Bitcoin miners, it's actually better in a lot of cases. But at the same time, when you compare it to other projects like Helium and PlanetWatch, where the devices are much cheaper to buy, it's definitely something worth considering before you purchase an M2 Pro Miner. Again, on the other hand, you also have to wait a long time for those devices, whereas with the M2 Pro Miner, in most cases, you don't really have to wait a long time. So there's a lot of pros and cons, and it's something you're going to have to evaluate for yourself to see if it's worth the price. The final thing I want to mention is that there is also an opportunity cost. So if you're spending 3,000 US dollars on the M2 Pro Miner, you also have to think, is there anything else I can spend those 3,000 US dollars on that would give me a better return on investment? So again, that's something for you to think about and something for you to decide on your own. And by the way, be sure to check out this video here if you want to learn more about how PlanetWatch can help you generate a passive income. So that's it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments of MXC. Do you think this is a good or a bad crypto project? And be sure to check out my YouTube channel for more crypto project reviews. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.